I did talk to somebody who was interested in a position on the PCBC, so I'll follow up.
I did. I talked to someone too, encouraged you to apply.
Oh, good.
Okay, I'll call to order the January 8th meeting of the Planning and Community Development Commission. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Chair Grindstaff,
Present.
Vice Chair Evers,
Present.
Commissioner Kendrick,
Present.
Commissioner Scott,
Present.
Commissioner Kram,
Present.
Commissioner Swartz, and Commissioner Kroger.
Present. Okay, so just very quickly, the goals for today's session. First is to go through the public hearing related to the ADU process. And we had listed the review of the housing assessment, but Planner Painter, could you explain this situation and how we'll approach it?
Absolutely, thank you, Chair. So we, as everyone can smell, we had some painting done in here. We don't want everybody breathing in too many fumes, but at the same time, I know there's some questions that arose lately as far as what we're doing with the housing assessment plan. So Town Administrator Simonson is spearheading this project along with Derek Webb, who presented to us last time. So what we think would be best is if everyone has an opportunity, all the commissioners and your Pro Tem Farrell have an opportunity to review the plan. They find any changes that need to be made, incorrect language, or even just numbers alone, which I think have stood out to quite a few of us. Please make notes of those and then just feel free to send them directly to me and add Administrator Simonson as well onto this. And that's the direction we'll take forward.
So I was just, came from the Housing and Human Services Commission, and we did talk through the strategies of the plan, and lots of good changes, by the way, so thanks to those who made those. I wonder, Julie Jacobs took notes. I wonder if it'd be helpful if maybe, like we could add to them rather than duplicating them. So I don't know the best way to do that, but.
You want to send them to me and Administrator Simonson along with any of your edits? That'd be great. Just combine her notes on a separate format or PDF or Word doc, whatever, however she has it written down, and we can incorporate those into the list.
Okay, and maybe those can go out to the PCBC then.
And let everybody review them as well. That'd be great.
Okay, I will try to make that happen.
Okay, and I think we should get at least a brief update on anything that's in the pipeline or coming down the road for the PCDC in terms of future public hearings and so forth.
I think,
Right.
thank you, Chair. One thing that's actually was discussed, I believe, when Planner came in before with the commission, and it's been brought up and put on our radar again, is we're looking at 300 block of Main Street, where just the whole 300 block of Main Street, where it's commercial, it's zoned commercial, and the remaining portion of Main Street is zoned commercial downtown.
Right.
So we're thinking that maybe the best approach is public hearing wise, commission wise, and trustee wise is to look about possibly rezoning them.
So it's currently zoned,
It's just commercial, not commercial.
oh,
The
okay,
whole entire 300 block.
versus commercial downtown versus, well, the block between 4th and 5th is commercial downtown.
Yes,
Okay, and so they just want to make the whole, what's commercial, all of it commercial
or
or
commercial downtown for
for the entire 2 blocks?
just that one block itself, the 300 addresses right there.
Yeah, okay, in addition to the other block already being commercial.
Exactly.
There you go.
And we would like to dive more into this at another meeting at a later time, but there's just lots of opportunities that are the commercial downtown does offer a little more flexibility for a lot of the property owners there and the commercial businesses, and we think that it would probably be a good direction, but again, that'll be a discussion in the upcoming meetings.
Yeah, and, so rather than going into any more discussion about that, we'll put it on future agenda. Right? Okay, one other item is that according to municipal code, the election of officers of each commission should occur on the first meeting of each calendar year. I'm thinking it, given this situation we're in, we could do that at the next meeting, put that on the agenda for the next meeting. And I would encourage anyone who has an interest in the great opportunity of leading meetings to leap forward and submit to the possibility of doing that. So the next item on the agenda is audience business. Is there anyone who would like to come forward to present audience business about anything that's not part of the public hearings today? Public hearing is in relation to the accessory dwelling units as a permitted use. If not, anyone on Zoom who would like to comment under audience business?
Erica, Aaron, or anyone else?
If not, then we'll proceed to open the public hearing on resolution 2024-01 related to allowing detached accessory dwelling units as a permitted use in
Sure,
additional districts.
We have the September 12th, 2023 minutes before the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes. So I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of September 12th.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please vote. Approved unanimously. Okay, so we'll move on to the public hearing, open the public hearing, and as a note for the commission, during public hearings, we are much more formal than we are during workshops, which means that we address each other and town staff by the titles, either commissioner or planner, mayor pro tem, etc. And you should wait to be recognized in order to begin speaking.
Should I address that?
Yes.
I have a question. Do I need to leave on something like this? I don't feel like it has anything to do with like
Well,
personal.
that's
life.
true, but the board of trustees will be voting on this.
Right. So I'm kind of wondering if I need to. Okay.
Yeah,
So I'll just do that.
and we can text you when.
I'll go in here.
Okay, so Planner Painter would like to present the staff report.
Absolutely, Chair. Let's try to get the screen here. Boy, there we go. Sorry about this. 1 second, Chair. Yeah, so town staff is presenting resolution 2024-01, amending section 16-10-70 of the Lyons Municipal Code, the LMC, to allow detached accessory dwelling units as a permitted use in the R1, R2, R2A, E, EC, and all residential districts. Town staff has been working with the PCDC. We feel that this would, and especially town staff, After having many, conversations with residents around town, we feel that the process alone is a little extent and would be a much easier and accessible process if we made an administrative use for a detached ADU. We figured that not only would it be subject to lower costs for the residents of the town of Lyons, but as well as just putting the residents at ease, knowing that they're not having to go through so many hurdles and time invested in when this process is more of a administrative use nationwide. And we find that it would also be just, if we find that it's in line with the comprehensive plan and the efforts to try to provide more affordable housing and living conditions in the town of Lyons. Town staff is asking that the PCDC do recommend and approve, resolution 2024-01, making, the accessory dwelling units as a permitted use.
So we've had extensive discussion of this at prior meetings. So now it comes down to the time to determine if we want to move forward. So first, are there any questions for staff?
Real quick review. Okay, this is. Let me say this correctly. Detached ADU is not attached.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we're talking about attached, that's already allowed by right. Again,
Yes,
yeah, so
that's correct.
we're talking about detached, double check, yes, detached, yeah. And we've talked about.
Okay, other questions for staff? If not, would entertain a motion. Pardon?
Is there an audience as well?
Yes, yeah, so I'm trying to think if we generally do audience business before or after the motion. I guess before the motion. Yeah. Okay, so would anyone like to speak to the recommended? Okay, so
No, you're here first.
We're good.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just.
you can come forward. And generally, we ask first that you provide your name and address, and then you have approximately 4 minutes to present to the commission.
Wonderful. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Hal Hallstein. I'm a new resident to Lyons. I moved here from North Boulder, where I was a resident for 15 years, and am happily living directly across from Town Hall on the river at Evans Street. I'm here to speak in support of the staff's proposal for 2 reasons. First, because I currently have a detached ADU under the current plan in the site review process. And although I have been able to navigate it, I agree that it's not easy. And I do sort of specialize in these types of processes. So it was successful, but I could see how it'd be more difficult for some people. And certainly the expense is additive to the cost of a project. But I'm not here to speak about it just from my self-interested perspective. In my time in Boulder, I served on Boulder's Open Space Board of Trustees and chaired it for some time. Got brought into a lot of discussions about, urban development around Boulder County. And I just feel pretty strongly that ADUs, and particularly detached ADUs, are a great way to add housing stock back to a community such as Lyons impacted by the flood, but especially to do it in a way that allows the residents' own individuality and character to show in the design. We know that building all sorts of housing is part of our housing solution, but obviously when we give a dedicated parcel to a given developer, what you end up with is somewhat homogenized architecture in Colorado these days. We know that takes away a little bit from the funk that we all appreciate about what used to be Boulder perhaps and what we hope still remains in Lyons. But I think one of the big advantages of this is that we add housing while allowing people to make it unique. We'll see stylistic and architectural differences within the code. I think that's a wonderful thing. Certainly where we are in the confluence, there is quite a bit of space for us to return some housing and to do it in a way where it's well up off of grade and above, flood hazard. So those are the real reasons I do support this. I do know that you were just discussing looking at your overall housing plan. I think this is a no-brainer, slam dunk piece of that plan. And so I won't bend your ear any further, but I'm here to speak in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
We're just here to learn and listen. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, having heard the audience participation, yes. we do
I have
one.
my hand up.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
To me, sorry. Aaron Kaplan, 1007 Steamboat Valley Road. And I'll speak as audience rather than as staff. Just to review, sort of go over, I hadn't been involved in a lot of the other topics, but seeing there is no change in this code then to any other zoning districts. This will not have any effect on the commercial or the commercial downtown or any zone not already listed as single family. So just sort of pointing that out, there was some discussion earlier and noticing that there will be no change to those from this code. It would only be code zones that already allow the residential. Making sure then when you went through that, through the code, particular section 1610-70, that there is one section number 8, conditional use review criteria. Other than this, an ADU, whether detached or attached, whether by right or by conditional use, would still need to meet all of the requirements listed in the accessory dwelling unit section. But there are 3 items, A, B, and C, listed under conditional use review criteria that would no longer be in place because this would now be a use by right. Detached ADUs shall be oriented towards existing alleys and use alley access where that is available, except where created over or within an existing detached garage or other detached building. So again, making sure we understand that that will no longer be a conditional use requirement. Detached ADUs shall not be cited to minimize negative impacts to the principal residence, where it results in greater negative impacts to adjacent property. And detached ADUs shall demonstrate architectural compatibility with the principal dwelling and the existing neighborhood. Again, maybe you've all reviewed that. You're aware that none of these 3 will be there, just making sure that's the case unless it needed to be discussed. Then that ADUs will still go through the standard building permit process because a detached ADU will be, in particular, require a building permit. Usually even an attached ADU will require one because of the addition of plumbing, HVAC, or stove, I guess was the main item I was going to point out. But not always with an attached ADU. You do still have with a detached ADU, usually I think 90% the requirement of a building permit. And again, that it will have to meet all those criteria. So just pointing that out and making sure everyone was aware of that. And again, I think we are still just simplifying the process. We're not changing the zones. We're eliminating this conditional use requirement while still requiring the building permit process to be followed. And that does make sense, simplifies it, but still keeps plenty of precautions or design standards, what we have for single family residence areas. There's not that much in design standards for that, but what we do have will still be in place. And those were my comments.
So that would include referrals, for example, to the fire district that are still in
Yeah.
place.
The way I would see it is that anything in the building permit process as a staff then that oversees the building permits, yes, that anything that we think requires the fire department's approval, any construction of a new building does require that. So yes, this would require, I'm trying to think if this does include a garage up above the second story of a garage, is that considered detached in your discussion? You don't need to answer, but that would be one where if somebody has a space above their garage not being used currently for an ADU, but will be used for an ADU. I don't know for sure that would be looked at by the fire department. A new structure would be looked at by the fire department. Anything else that really had concerns from a building permit perspective always goes to the fire department. So yes.
So in other words, it does not decrease any of the involvement of the fire department in construction.
Not that I can see, correct.
Okay, are there other questions for staff?
Or for Aaron?
Yeah. Well, Aaron, whether he's staff or just.
So Aaron, the thing that caught my attention was you mentioned 3 items that with this revision would no longer be included. Is that right?
That's the way I would read it, and it may be something that does need to be, sorry, I didn't look through earlier. Everything for me is at last minute, but noticing in section, it's 1617. Is there another letter? No, A, B, C, D. So it is 16-10-70 E has specific, oh, no, we're sorry. It's C 8, 16-10-70-C-8. Conditional use review criteria for detached ADUs. I believe that would have to be removed if we're making this a use by right. Or it would have to be changed. You could probably pass what you have and request a review by the town attorney to understand how that should be amended.
What were those 3 items again?
Detached ADUs shall be oriented towards existing alleys and use alley access where that is available, except where created over or within an existing detached garage or other detached accessory building. I believe the exception is you may have a garage where there's an entrance that comes off the street rather than right on the road. I actually know of one that just went into place over on Park and 3rd. But otherwise, when you're building a new building, it should be oriented towards existing alleys or use alley access where that is available. I don't know if that's required anywhere else. Detached ADUs shall not be cited to minimize, wait, that seems negative. Detached ADUs shall not be cited to minimize negative impacts to the principal residence. Seems like that should read detached ADUs, shall not be cited to minimize negative impacts to principal residence where that results in greater negative impacts to adjacent property. Sorry, there's a little bit of legalese there, but again, we're looking at making sure
Could you
that
repeat, please? We're having trouble hearing.
I think my microphone, let me see if I can increase the volume. Can you hear me now? Is that better? No?
Yes, yeah.
Detached ADUs shall not be cited to minimize negative impacts to the principal residence where that results in greater negative impacts to adjacent property. So I think that's just a condition to check for impacts to the existing properties. And the 3rd item, detached ADUs shall demonstrate architectural compatibility with the principal dwelling and the existing neighborhood. Again, giving the town staff planning the option to review that and see if that was a concern, which is not something the building department would look at.
Commissioner Graham.
These seem like important items that we wouldn't want to lose them in approving this. So
Right.
how can we move forward in approving this, but keep those in some way, shape, or form?
Planner.
When I had attorney didn't look at this, This was overlooked, about that, but as far as as I have right here on the screen, is this portion right here that Aaron is describing. And as Director Kaplan has mentioned, I think we can keep them. I think it's good. I think the alley access is very important for ADUs coming into the rear of the property. I think that's one of the main goals of this. The conditional use portion here, right at the very beginning, could almost just have it be a language change. That's
Agreed.
Administrative. Yeah,
Okay,
because
great.
it's
So,
a change.
solved.
Yes, ma'am.
So can it be, do we modify it tonight or do it on a separate night?
We would have to do it on a separate thing.
Hold on, I don't think you do. Section 3 of your proposed ordinance is code revisions, and it allows minor non-substantive changes or content to be altered. So I think it's just, it's fine there. I don't think we have to circle back and do it again.
Agreed.
Should we add a comment on the motion?
I don't think we do.
Do we need to?
No, because of section 3 of the proposed ordinance, they can make a change. It's not substantive to the content.
We have one.
I do think you as the PCDC would want to recommend, right, you're just striking conditional use to leave it as review criteria for detached ADUs. That way the review criteria stays there. You're just striking the two words conditional use. Not being an attorney, but sitting in on a lot of them.
Happy to do
Yeah, that would work. Yeah.
So, what would be a recommended, amendment to accomplish that? So first we need a motion, right, on the major question, then we would need an amendment to make that change. Okay,
I'll make a motion.
Let's make sure we have our discussion done. before-
Yeah, okay, yeah.
We have one more public.
Yeah.
I want to say it's from.
okay. Yes.
Also, somebody else who may or may not want to come.
Erica, do you have any public comment?
I do not.
Thank you, ma'am.
Did you, was that other thing you, this one on the screen, was that something, did you read that? Yeah, we need to read that?
I'm
Yeah,
gonna read this out. loud.
okay.
This is from Kristen and Jerry Powell at 107 Longs Peak Drive of Lyons, Colorado. This letter reads and states, Dear Town of Lyons PCDC Board of Trustees, hello, we are Kristen and Jerry Powell of 107 Longs Peak Drive in Lyons. We have been residents of Lyons since 1997. We are expressing our support to change the permitted process for detached accessory dwelling units, ADUs, from a conditional use review to an administrative review. Our small town of Lyons will receive many potential benefits from this change. We would like to share our thoughts on these with you. First, here is the background on our situation and why we support these administrative changes. In 2019, we purchased an additional Lyons home as an investment property located at 348 Evans Street. The house is currently rented to a family whose children attend the Lyons School. This property is owned such that an ADU would be permitted. In 2020, we started exploring the process of building a detached ADU. We hired a surveyor, we met with a general contractor and a planner from the town. Fortunately, there have been many barriers to moving forward. The greatest barriers being that the current complicated and time-consuming conditional use process and the owner occupancy requirement. By adding a detached ADU to our property, we intended to provide an opportunity for additional renting space in Lyons, and later to move Kristen's aging parents closer to us, and she's a primary caregiver. It is essential to note the Town of Lyons Municipal Code 16-10-70 was adopted for many purposes we listed below, including providing a broad range of accessible and affordable housing and increasing the number of small dwelling units available for rent. Here are some ways we see the change to administrative review positively impacting our situation with future rental properties. One, an administrative review process is generally faster and less complex than a conditional use review. The streamlining can result in quicker approval times for ADUs, allowing for more rapid construction availability of additional housing units. An administrative process is often less expensive than a conditional use process. By reducing the associated fees and costs, it becomes more feasible for homeowners with limited financial resources to build ADUs, thus increasing the overall supply of affordable housing. By simplifying the review process, this encourages more homeowners to consider adding ADUs to their properties. The increase in the housing stock contribute to meeting the demand for affordable housing in lives, potentially benefiting low-income individuals, can facilitate multi-generational living arrangement for a space for families by providing more options. 4, homeowners may be more willing to participate in providing low-income housing if the review process is less burdensome. ADUs can provide an alternate affordable housing solution in Lyons. 5, administrative reviews often come with fewer restrictions compared to conditional use reviews. This gives property owners more flexibility in the design and layout of ADUs, potentially allowing for more. That's all for this now.
Normally, we provide one opportunity for people to speak, but as audience participation is still open, we'll.
May I ask a question? That letter seemed to imply that the change you're considering tonight would waive the requirement of owner occupancy. If that were the case, I'd rescind my support for the motion.
It is not.
Thank you, and I just want to clarify that remains, correct?
Yes.
I was just looking at the municipal code right now, and in the tiny home section, it's you mentioned conditional use there. Is that we changed it a little bit? Or no?
For tiny homes, no, just because of the foundation portion in the tiny homes on wheels plays different than a detached ADU. Great question.
Okay, so do we have all of the audience participation complete? If so, then are there any other questions for staff? We'll do questions for staff, then a motion, then discussion among the commission. Okay, so is there a motion to put on the floor?
Move that the PCDC approve and recommend resolution 2024-01, amending section 16-10-70 of the Lyons Municipal Code to allow detached accessory dwelling units as a permitted use in R1, R2, R2A, E, EC, and all residential districts.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved. Is there discussion, further discussion and or amendments? Do we want the amendment that says,
Remove the conditional review, I think it said, is that what that conditional?
Yes.
What was the words?
It was under
Conditional use review? No. I'm there, hold on. Conditional use,
For what it's worth,
yeah, no,
it's sticky to leave the one in there about architectural compliance with the primary structure, because you're asking staff to make like a architectural style or a massing or whatever determination, which is kind of inappropriate in my opinion. So I don't like that it's in there, but I think for the sake of pushing this thing through to get it to the point where it needs to be, it needs to stay in for now. So I'm not in like approval of it, but I do think for today and for getting this thing through into the board of trustees and getting it going, we should just go ahead and approve it with that, what is otherwise a conditional criteria to be reviewed by staff now going forward.
you've been requesting staff to put that on a future agenda?
I would, yeah. I don't want it to trip up the board of trustees when they get to their next bit, so we should leave it in for now. Yeah, please bring it up again later when we circle back on stuff. Will do, Commissioner.
Okay, so we have an amendment proposed. Is there a second to the amendment? Okay, and we'll vote on the amendment. Unless there's additional discussion on it. If not, okay.
oh. Yeah, so I'm just reading the language.
Motion passes. Okay, so then we're back to the overall, motion. Is there any additional discussion on the overall motion? Not seeing any, then I'll call for the vote. Okay. Approved. Motion is approved, 6 with 1 person absent. Okay, agenda, and so, we are, asking to, postpone the workshop on the, housing assessment review. And we're asking everyone to take another, because everybody has probably seen this several times, although there are some changes. But if there are any additional changes that are needed, we'll send those to a planner painter. And do you have a timeline for the comments on the housing assessment?
I would prefer Friday prior to the 22nd. So that would be the 19th would be fantastic. I guess roughly about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Is there an editable document that we can look at? Because I've just seen the PowerPoints. It's the latest PowerPoint now on the towns.
It was, I sent everybody the PDF version.
Yeah.
On
You
the
did?
second.
Okay.
I can, if you would like, I can send you guys both the PDF as well as the Word version. I know sometimes PDF doesn't,
Right.
Adobe doesn't work well with some people.
Yeah.
I can send you copies.
Yeah.
Versions of it.
No,
That'd be good.
thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments related to planning updates that you would like to make?
Oh, well, probably the next biggest thing, which I brought up at the last meeting, 4497 and 4435 U Highway, the intersection between 36 and 66 with the marijuana dispensary, that's still happening. We're taking baby steps with it, but we're looking at a possible annexation and a lot consolidation in the coming months.
Because I know some both are for sale over there. What's going on over there? There are 2 for sale signs right there.
For sale, and the intent is to remove the dispensary and putting a top secret restaurant. We don't even know what the restaurant is yet.
Oh,
Open for but.
Well, because there's a cap on the number of dispensaries, and so that would push us over, I assume.
Right, yeah, that's correct. 3 is the number of marijuana centers.
okay, that's the terminology. Okay, all right. Wasn't sure of that. The language.
Well, marijuana centers was a term that was used because it could be either a recreational or medicinal dispensary. And literally, it could be in the morning, this recreational dispensary, and in the afternoon, a medicinal dispensary. It just decided on a term called marijuana centers. Okay, are there any other items to be brought before the commission? So if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn so we can leave without being completely overcome by pink fumes. Mayor Pro Tem, did you have any comments before we?
Nothing's happened.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Just by raise of hand. Aye.